Okay, so I'm with the crew of the Ocean Outfitter and our good friend Warren. In order of operation, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a vessel extrication with a backboard. It's an augmented technique from the American Red Cross that we use to get people up on the boat with a possible suspected neck or back injury. So it's very important, not only if they're unconscious to use this technique, but to support the spine. And the first technique we're going to do is specifically for vessel extrication. From there, we're going to be doing unconscious patient rescue, the bow and arrow technique. We're going to be using a tube and no tube. Reason being is a lot of the times if you're on a surf holiday or if you're in the Mentawais or some boat trip where there's no secondary care, you might not have the equipment that a regular lifeguard or a boat such as this boat would have. So we're going to give you some options to use and give these guys some options to use, because in the real world sometimes they're different than bookwork, so we have to have options to save a life. And from there we're going to be doing a CPR case when we get the person back onto the boat, heading back to the harbor, so we can do some live simulation of what we would do in a critical scenario on a vessel. So hope you guys learned something.
When you enter the water for someone that you think's a neck or a back injury, what do you think's the best way to do it? Do you dive after them or do you ease in? Ease in. Yeah, because if you don't want to disturb the water, if you like say they fell off the boat, hit their head, I don't want to disturb the water, especially if there's no wave action on top of it, because then I'm making it. The whole goal of this is to do no more harm than it's already been done. So we got to think about that. Like, oh, you're in a rush situation, you're worried about them being unconscious, but they just hit their head, they could have broke their neck. So ease in, and ease in is just how it sounds. It's just not jumping in, it's sliding off the boat, taking your pressure off. Especially with this mechanism of injury, there's two things that could happen here. They could do like a rock jump, and that could happen on a surf trip and dead flat days, or they could jump off the boat. So either way, you're getting this patient. Rock is a bit different, it's a little more crisis, they're away from the boat. If they're right near the boat and you don't want to disturb the water, I'm just going to slide in as best I can. Yeah. The water does the work for you. So if you got a big strapping guy that doesn't know how to make a rescue, have him help you with the board. Okay? Right. So first things first, bow and arrow, circular. I'm pinning here to support the neck. If I got the tube, it's the Heisman. I'm stiff arming this, and this is where it gets a little tricky, because this is like, yeah, I made it look easy, but I do this all the time. I'm spinning and I'm dropping it under. I'm not forcing it like this. I'm literally shoving it like this under your back. That's look for the wrist, swing, come straight up, head splint, right on my shoulder, then you got him here. This way you have one free arm to swim and your fins. Okay? Got it. You gotta pick the side that's gonna be most convenient with the least debris around, the most chance for success. So again with this, better to have someone behind you so you don't fall right away. As you would pin him here, I'm dropping the board straight down, right? Grabbing the wrist, pulling up. Secondary person grabs when I break the ice, so that way I have more strength. You as the patient, you're gonna pin, when I grab her wrist, you're gonna pin her hip bones straight to the board. As I come up, you can let go and just start kicking the board up with your fins. It'll take pressure off the bottom from the bottom plastic. Yeah. But the goal is, as soon as you hand me the wrist, you pin her hips to the board, because she will start floating away. If I don't dunk this board right at the time, the board will start floating away. So the cool thing about this is, if done right, it looks like magic. If done wrong or mistimed, it looks like you know what. Yeah. So there's first things first, get him here, hand the wrist. As you hand the wrist, I'm dunking the same time so the board doesn't start floating away in the current. Okay, we'll do it without the tube first and then add the tube. The tube is great, but as you get close, what does it do? It slows things down because it gets caught between. So you gotta get good at feeding that tube away as we're getting out, because now the tube's useless. We're getting them up the board. Okay, so we'll start without the tube, field work, perfect world. You know what I mean? Okay, you can just put it on the side or waving the arm towards you. You're gonna grab wrist. I'm gonna pin. Perfect. Oh, just go. Help him out, grab the board. There you go. Perfect. There you go. Quick little thing, I just want to show you a quick tutorial. She probably knows how to do these really well from freediving, so don't need to get into it too deep. But can I see the tube real quick? If you are floating towards the bottom, so this is like a 6 to 12 feet of depth. This is not 60-foot dive rescue, right? What I do is I take this strap off, okay? So if you go under, the way I get you is, you know that cross chest that I just showed you? Yeah. That's how I get them above water. So the tube's gonna be here, right? You go down, just take a breath and go underwater. No, go under like 6 feet. Go a little deeper. Okay, when I go down, I dive. See how I yanked the tube down? So what happened is, when he's underwater, okay, if I were to climb him up without a tube, pretty hard. I let this have slack. It's floating away. I dive down with this in my hand. What I did, if you want to get this on GoPro, it's really good. I fed this to my other hand, and then I pulled the tube down, and then I grabbed this, so this pulls me up. You understand? They're underwater and they have that snorkel. You got to pull the snorkel out, because when you bring them up, the water will shoot down. Does that make sense? So like if you dove down, when I show this technique later, you go grab a patient and you start bringing them up. If the snorkel's still in their mouth, the water is going to be counter to that and going straight into their lungs. So as soon as you grab the patient, you'd have to pull the snorkel out, cover the mouth, and then go up. It's just something to think about.
Cover the mouth.
Okay. Now, because like she's a pro, they know not to dive with the snorkel. But if someone had a heart attack and just went down, it's like novice versus what?
Snorkels aren't, are they? They're actually worse for,
That's why it's like for every situation, there's like
there's always that. Okay.
Mouse is blocking. I pop it, and I get her here. Then I climb the board, right? And I Muay Thai knee through. Now, I'm not out here because she can slip off the other side, the board can go. I literally grab here, I shoot under both sides, so I'm here, and then I pull, right? You okay? Yeah. Then I don't let go because she can slide again if she's unconscious, right? I grab both ankles, boom, and then I go. Reason being is wrist. If the chin gets in the way, I pop the chin over. I get shoulder, I get him over to here. Climb the board, I do like a Muay Thai knee through, he's here. Now this front arm, this is where people get stuck. Front arm goes through their front arm. You're hooking under both armpits all the way to the lat, so that way I can pull them across. I'm gonna do it one more time here. Okay. Flip it, but always, that's good, Derek, no, it's cool. Right at the, no, a little bit further forward, yeah. There you go, right there. Wrist, shoulder. Okay, kick the board. Yep, with your knee, push it right through and grab. Okay, now, what? We'll pause after, just go for it. And go. Go. There you go. That's good. Now you climb the legs back, all the way back. You don't let go. And then paddle in. Now, one thing that happened, fixing an issue. Come here real quick. And it's not easy. It's hard work. Flip over. What happened when you're starting to do this is that once you get to this point, you don't want to slam. When you slam, they go over. So once again, you remember I said I'm breaking the fulcrum point. Now it's slow. Now I guide. So everything's quick, boom, boom, boom. I'm here or I'm here, depending. I kick through really easy.
Yeah.
Then it's just slow. Then it's shoot. Because if you slam and you disengage and they roll off, you're gonna have to do it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then you're going to keep the face out of the water, right? So bring it back and bring the nose up.
And the other thing is when you shoot, you're collecting both arms and the mouth, so they're getting out of the water anyway.
Got it.
That's why I simplified that. Before they're like move the arm, put the arm over, then the other arm.
Yeah.
You just shoot and you lift everything out at once and you pull around and then they're up. Okay?
Can I try one more?
Yeah, go for it. Here, I'm grabbing. So yeah, perfect. Give me a little lift. I can control this because you can't hit me there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as soon as I go, okay, one motion, I go ear to ear, I sink and I give it to him. It's here. It's cross tension. So you're like two opposites.
Got it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you're switching arms. So this is under here, and this is over there. But my head is going the same side as my arm is reaching. Okay. So sink it and go. Yep, ear to ear. There you go, better. Closer, now you grab here.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, you'll get it that first try. Okay, one thing you're doing, this is the problem. You're trying to use your strength.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get this down.
Okay.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Body
if you
weight.
go like this and try to drag it from here, good luck. So the hard tap, it's going to be really hard to get the jaw to line up. You're going to have to do a jaw thrust, especially because you don't want to do a neck chin lift because you might have had a neck injury. You're going to be pushing down on the mask in here. Now you can squeeze and breathe like this, but the oxygen will slip out. What I don't want to do when it comes to oxygen is cover this person's mouth the whole time. The only time I want to cover the person's mouth is when I'm breathing, whether it's with the pocket mask, without the BVM here, right, above the patient.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, no worries. Or with the BVM. I release this, I only sync it when I'm going to breathe, because otherwise I'm doing a disservice and I'm covering the mouth. Back to compressions. You could do continuous compressions all the way to the harbor. I wouldn't even ask you to stop at any moment.
Is there any pause in that?
30 to 2 for Red Cross. If you're doing hands only, you're going 1 to 100, never stopping, going back to 1. The timing is only important for when you get to EMS. How many rounds? Oh, I've done 2 rounds of 100, that's roughly 5 minutes. I've done 4 rounds, etc., etc. I'm telling EMS how long I've been doing that. Now, with the compressions, again, this is field work. We're not in a perfect area. We're not in an office. We're out on a boat. We're gonna do what we can. How we can do the best compressions here, right, is by having a locked post, because if I start doing this, all the energy is going off. All my actual body weight is going through my arms instead of through a post. So I would do my best. I'd find the best position I can. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10, all the way up to 30. If you have someone breathing at 30, you do 2 breaths. If someone's driving the boat and you got to get back, just keep on the chest, keep compressing until you get to the harbor. Never stop. Because if you're doing good compressions, 2 to 2.5 inches, there's going to be an oxygen exchange just by good compressions. You're cavitating the chest, they will actually get their own oxygen through doing good compression. So the better the compression, the better chance they have. If you don't have it, especially with like COVID and things like now, it's secondary. The only thing though with this specifically, if it was an unwitnessed drowning, you do have to do 2 ventilations because it's like dead gas. There's no oxygenated blood in the system. You do need to get some oxygen into the lungs so that way the bloodstream can fuel the brain. You don't, yeah, go ahead.
If I don't know where to start the compressions, can you show us where?
Yes, exactly. So perfect case scenario. Okay, nipple line, sternum, right? Coming right over. Now, if you look at my hand, right? These are weak metacarpals. I want to use the heel of my hand, does everything. I'm not a big guy, but I can do good compressions just using my whole body over. Right there, heel of the hand. You want to hear that click? And the pace is quick. It's not 1 and 2. It's fast. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10. Now everybody grab your finger and your index, so your thumb and your index, and squeeze it and look at it, okay? When you see the blood coming back, what is that saying? Perfusion is coming back, okay? So why I'm telling you that when you're doing compressions, this is key to CPR, is that if I'm hovering on the patient, what am I doing? I'm stopping blood flow. I want to come slightly off the chest, about 1/2 of my pinky nail, just so I'm not smashing it down, because otherwise I'm blocking the blood going back to the brain. I'm actually disconnecting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 10, all the way up to 30 for the breaths. If you don't have a second person to do the breaths, we're just doing hands only all the way back to the harbor. Does that work? Nipple line, sternum, okay? Heel of your hand, so whichever is the bottom is gonna be the locked out, okay? And remember, you're gonna disconnect. Now, you see how you're balling your hands? I don't want that. Reason I don't want that, just so you notice too, I don't want the balling of your hands, because when the AD shows up, so cross over like that again, okay? When the AD shows up, you could just lift your fingers and keep compressing, and I can slide the pads in. So I just don't want you to get in a bad habit of doing that. Also, it can make the heel not get full connection. So just compress and count. And count. Out loud. 10, there you go. Yeah, no, that's why we're doing it. Yeah. Keep going, keep counting.
23, 24,
and pick up the pace. Okay, pause at 30, 2 breaths. 1, 2, go.
1, 2,
keep going.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Quicker. Breath, go. One more round.
2, 3, 4.
Keep that pace.
7, 8,
You gotta know these goes on.
22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Breath. Okay, cool, good. One thing is when I'm doing the breathing, just make sure you disconnect. make sure you slightly disconnect between every compression. But in general, when I'm breathing, you don't want to put weight on the chest because you want to see the chest rise and fall.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Right on. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, push down. This is like an O-ring on a camera. I'm pushing up the jaw on the mandible, and I'm pushing down on the seal. And again, this is extremely important for unwitnessed drowning. So again, you found
it's already drowned.
You came up with your crew and somebody's already here.
Yeah.
We don't know how long he's been. We need to get some oxygen in the tank. So we got to get some oxygen in the blood. Okay? So 2 breaths, then you're going straight on to compressions.
Okay.
So witness drowning.
Witness drowning, straight, it's CAB, straight onto the compressions. Unwitnessed drowning, I want oxygen back into the system so they have a chance.
With the witness drowning, would it be bad to give 2 breaths?
You're gonna still give breaths if you have a secondary responder. If you don't, hands only, let them drive him in or however the situation plays. You're gonna breathe, but it's not primary because it's not the first step. First things first, it's witnessed. You know what I mean? They went unconscious, seen, get them on. They still have 5 minutes of oxygenated blood in their system. On the other side of the rock's been there for 15 minutes, unknown. You gotta get something in there or else you're just pushing around dead blood.
And then same thing, if you don't know the person, you don't have a mask.
Compression only.
Compressions
Yeah.
only.
Because if you're doing the compressions the way I'm teaching you, there's still going to be an oxygen exchange just by getting good depth. Depth is 2 to 2.5 inches. That is a guideline. If you got a 400-pound person, use common sense. If you got a kid, use common sense. You could use one arm under 80 pounds if it's too much. Common sense. Okay, so we're dealing with different people every day. 2 to 2.5 is a guideline, but you got a 400-pound football player, bottom out. Get good compressions. Rather go deeper than shallower. You can't fix dead. Do good compressions. Right on.
So that was a fun day of training with Ocean Outfitters and Captain Kevin and our friend Warren with Never Off Duty. We got through a few different scenarios. One was a board rescue for an unconscious patient. We did the bow and arrow for also an unconscious patient. We did a active rescue from the back. So we did basically, it's water self-defense, so you don't get knocked out when you're saving another patient. And then we also did an extrication for a vessel using the backboard, which is a great option to mitigate spinal injury as well as get an unconscious patient onto the boat. And then we went over a quick tutorial of CPR for hands only and also for an unwitnessed drowning. So we handled about 5 or 6 situations there. I'm sure you're gonna grab some good info. Remember, the only way to get better at this stuff is to train it in a scenario that's controlled. So if you're gonna do this training, make sure you have a partner, and also always train hard so that way when you're in a critical situation, it's not the first time you have to handle it and you fail when it's the time to fail and not when it's critical. So thanks for watching the videos. Hopefully you're gonna get more info and hopefully this inspires you to go get really trained and certified. Thanks again.